Hi everyone, welcome to the another video of Jenkins tutorial. Today in this video, we'll see how to set up the upstream and downstream job for Jenkins script. Okay, so we have seen, we have set up so far, the individual jobs, right? So we will get the code from GitHub or local and we run the script, right? So similarly, we can, there is some dependency. So for example, like first you have to build your job and you have to run your test, then you have to deploy to the particular environment, right? So this is kind of upstream and downstream, right? So if we look at this one, okay, first always we have to build our job, right? So always we have to build our project, right? So the building would have done like this. So it could be like the unit test or feature test or some other integration test also done in the build, and the build stage, right? So when the build is done, then we have to run our automation test, right? So that's where the test come. So after that, we have a deploy. We have to deploy to the particular environment, different environment, right? So this is kind of flow. We have build, test, and deploy. Okay. So we see this one for this build, right? So the downstream is test. Okay. Once the test is done, when we have to deploy, right? So for the test job, the downstream is a deploy and the upstream is a build. Okay. So for deploy, similarly, upstream is test. Okay. So now we have to set up these things into the Jenkins as well, right? So it has to be in the continuous integration and continuous delivery, right? So always we have built the project and we'll test the project and we'll deploy to the particular environment. Okay, so to achieve this one, right? So upstream and downstream, what we have to do, go to Jenkins, we have to create three steps, right? So in more into the testing run, right? So let's take example, your smoke test job has to success, right? And then you can go for a regression. After regression is done, your regression is 100% success, then you can go for a end-to-end testing, right? So if my smoke is getting failure, then there is no need of running my regression, right? So if my regression is getting failure, then I don't want to run my end-to-end scenario test cases, right? So this is how the upstream and downstream jobs are connected. Okay, so now what we can do, we can go to Jenkins. We have to create a three project, right? So for one is we have to build the project and we have to test the project and we have to deploy the project, right? So for that one, we have to create a three jobs. Okay, so the very first one, I will come to my Jenkins. So I will go for a new item. So what is our first one? Our first one is like we have to build the job, right? So I will name as a simple build and I can create any project like so for this demo purpose, I will go for a freestyle project and I will click on OK. Okay, so for demo purpose, we are not going to build any project. So I will just use the echo command for testing one. For for this demo kind of purpose. Okay, so once this project is created, now we can go to the trigger option. You can go to the build option. So here we will add some options like so execute Windows bash command, right? So I will simply type echo building the project. Okay, so build the project I will give. Okay, so what it will do, it will build the project, right? Okay, so I will simply click on save. So my first project is ready, which is build stage, right? So after that, we have to create one more project, which is test, right? So I will come again, and again I will create one more project called test. Okay, so I will click on a new item. Okay, so this test is the second one, right? So if you want to copy from the previous project, you can simply copy from here. So you can type one. So you can see this is a build that we have created, right? So here you can copy from the option where if you want to create the new item from the older, from the existing project, right? So you can use this option, copy from. Okay, so I just want to copy from that. So what are the configuration I have done for the sample build? I will get everything to this particular project. Okay, so this is simple way of, duplicating the one project to the another project, right? So all the time you don't want to go and click the new project. The freestyle project, you don't want to do that one. If you have something existing configuration is available, you can make a duplicate of that one. Okay. So now here what we have to do when you scroll down. So here you can see the build trigger, right? So here you have an option called build after other projects are built. Okay. So when you check on this, so here you have to give the our first project, right? So as soon as I type one, you can see it is coming as a build one and test one, right? So what is our first one? So after build only, my test has to trigger, right? So I will select my build project. Okay, sample build is my project. Once this is done, then I have to trigger this project. Okay, so you have here you have an option called trigger only build is stable, or trigger even if the build is unstable, right? So if the build is failure, so you can select any options here. Okay, so for the demo purpose, I will go with the build is stable because we are just using the echo command, right? So obviously it will get fast. So after this, what we have to do, we have to again here. So I will alterate this one. So here we are doing the test, right? So I will tell like a test execution or test the or build test. Okay. Okay. So here I am testing the project. I mean, I'm executing my test. Okay. Simply click on save. Okay. Once this is done, what we have to do? So our build is done, right? So build is done and test also we have configured, and we have to tell the deploy also, right? So we have to create one more project which is deploy. Okay. I will come to here. Again, I will create one more project called deploy, and again I will copy it from my previous one. Okay. So I will copy it from my simple test. So this is a way I can avoid, I mean, creating the time. So I can duplicate my existing project to do this, I mean, for creating a new project. Okay, so here what we have to do, again, you have to come to the build trigger option. So here also we have to select, okay, so this one is what? So after test, right? So after, I mean, before deploy. So for deploy, it's upstream is test, right? So we have to give this test here. Okay, so here what we have to type. So you type this one and you have to click on the test. Okay, so if my test is success, then go on deploy the different environment. Okay, so here also I'm selecting this trigger only build as stable because we are since using the echo command simply, right? So once this is done, you can simply click on save. Okay, now you can see this is upstream project showing as a sample test, right? So we'll go to the sample test. Okay, so this is a build is first one. So when you go to the build, here you can see it has one downstream project, which is sample test, right? So my build or build downstream is a test project. Okay, so that is what we are seeing it here. So when you go to here, when you go to the test, so test what is the thing? So here you can see upstream is my build project and downstream is a deploy. So now you can see. So that is what I have mentioned here for test, right? For test project, my upstream is a build, right? Once my build is success, then I have to execute my test. Once my test is success, then I have to execute my deploy, right? So that's where we can see it here. One upstream is coming as a build, right? Building the project, and the downstream is a deploy. Okay, so similarly, if you go for a deploy, so you can find the only upstream, right? So there's a no downstream. After deploy, there's a no downstream. Only upstream we have that is coming from the test, right? So now you can see upstream we have sample test. Okay. So now what we can do, I can go to this build project. Okay. So here I will come. I will simply click on build now. Okay. So I don't want to go to a test project and deploy project. Okay. When I come to here and I have simply clicked on this build now, right? So it started building now. Okay, once this is done, automatically it will trigger my test job as well as my deploy job. Okay, so now we can see I'm going to my dashboard. So here you can see my sample build is done, right? So about 1 minute. Now we can see this one is running. My sample test is running, right? So here you can see this run icon is blinking, right? So which means this is running actually. So here you can see my test is running. Once my test is done, it will go to the deploy automatically, right? So wait for a test to be completed. Okay, so now we can go to this sample build and we can check the console. So in the console, you can see, so this is sample build, right? So build our first step, right? So this is my first step. Okay. So when I go to the console here, you can see I get this build project echo. So whatever I given in the trigger option, I mean build option, I am getting this command, right? So this is command that we have passed echo build project, right? So after that, you can see triggering the new build for sample test. Okay. So when I go to the sample test would have triggered the this deploy project, right? So this is also you can see one build is executed, right? So when I go to this build, now we can go to the console, and here you can see it is trigger the deploy. Okay. So now here you can see, so when we go to the console, here you can see started by the upstream project. right? So the upstream is given to the test, right? So the upstream for the test is build. So from build, it triggers the test. From the test, it triggers the deploys automatically. Okay, now we'll go to the deploy and see. Okay, so now we can see. So our first one is built about 3 minutes. And after that, it has executed the test sample test project, which is 2 minutes ago. And after that, it is executed the deploy thing. Okay, all the three things are done now. Okay, when we go to the deploy and you can see the console. Okay, so here also we have one build. Okay, so here you can see it started by the upstream project, which is test. Okay, you can go to the console and you can see again the same thing. Okay, started by the upstream project sample test, right? So now we can see I started. So the sample test one is started by the build. Okay, build number one and everything you can see. And finally it is exit, right? So this is how we build the upstream and downstream project in the Jenkins. Okay. So what we have done, we have created the one build project. So after the build, it will automatically trigger the test project. Once the test is done, it will automatically trigger the deploy. Okay, the same thing. So what you have done, so you can create one more view also. So for this view, what we call as a build pipeline view. Okay, so for getting this one, you have to add the plugins. Okay, so we can go to the dashboard. I mean, manage Jenkins. Okay, under the manage plugins. So I have already installed the build pipeline. Okay, so I will go to my installed tab. Okay, so here you can see, I will just type pipeline. Okay, so since I have already installed this one, it will be in my, okay, here you can see build pipeline plugin, right? So I have already installed this one. So for your guys, you have to install. Once you install this one, then you can create one view, build pipeline view, because we don't want to all the time come here and run the build, right? So what we can do, we can simply create one view, which is called pipeline view. I will name it as a pipeline view. Okay, and I will select this template and I will click on OK. So after this, what we have to do, I mean, you can add some description if you want. Otherwise, we can scroll down. So here you can see this is upstream downstream config, right? So my first initial job would be my build, right? So my build is the first option, right? So my first project is build. Once I selected this one, okay, this test is connected to my build and the deploy is connected to my test, right? It's all interconnected. Okay. So now I have to select this sample build one, and rest of the things you can ignore. I mean, if you want to, you can change. Okay, so number of build displayed, like so I can make it as a 5. So that's where you can see the n number of builds. Okay, so in the pipeline view, and rest of the things you can ignore, or if you want to set some, I mean, column or sort by something like this. So you have the right build cards and something you can do. Okay, okay, so this is fine. You have to select one the initial job. So my initial job is build, right? So I will simply click on OK now. Okay, now we can see, so we have executed only one time, right? So that is only one time build number is coming here. Here you can see, this is a build number one, right? So everything is executed now. So I will go to the configure again. So there is some refresh. Yeah. Okay, number of build. Okay, refresh frequency in seconds, right? So it will refresh the build pipeline within the 2 seconds or 3 seconds based on the configuration. Okay. So now I can simply come, I mean, I can create view like this. This is build pipeline view for this particular thing, right? So build, test, and deploy. Okay, now I can simply click on run to create a second build. Okay, so I have just clicked on the run now. Now you can see one more build will be generated, build number 2 for this particular pipeline, and it will execute the deploy. I mean, it will execute the build, the test, as well as deploy. Now you can see one more view will come. I mean, one more grid will come now. Okay, so wait for, I mean, screen still loading. So this is our previous one that we have executed from the Jenkins, right? So now we have clicked on the run from the pipeline. I will refresh the screen one more time. So now you can see after refresh, so build 2 is triggered and this is executed, right? So this is running actually. Okay, this is not running actually. So this is we have to trigger manually. Okay, so for that one also we have to do the configuration, right? So here you can see the console everything. Okay, so for build, I mean, this is for build console. So now we can see that, I mean, everything in the console view also here. So this is taking time. One second. Okay, so here you can found the console. Wait, it is loading actually. Okay, so this one also, if you want to manually trigger, also you can trigger. Okay, so when I trigger this one, now we can see automatically it is running now. Okay, the build is started now. So once this is done, so here also you will, I mean, it has to automatically run, but I think we have to check our configuration because this is in the sequence order, right? So when we did manually, so we went to the build number one, I mean the sample build. Then when you click on the manual build now option, then all the subsequent projects were executed, right? The same thing here also it should run, but let me check on that. Okay, most recent build success. No manual trigger, no. Okay, so I mean my system is very slow, so that's the reason. That could be one of the reason. Anyhow, let's see. See, now you can see, I mean, everything is executed, right? So again, one more time, I will click on run button. Let's see what happens. My system is very slow. That's the reason we are seeing this slowness. Okay, so when you come to this pipeline view and when you click on run button, it has to execute automatically, like our build, our test, and deploy everything. Okay, so now we'll wait for some time. Let's see the build 3 is getting triggered or not. So now you can see build 3 is also triggered, but we'll wait for some time the subsequent like a test and a deploy to run. I think due to slowness, I'm facing this issue. I will refresh the screen again. We don't want to do manually. It will run automatically. So now you can see the test is triggered and the deploy is yet to trigger, right? So I have not done manually. It is triggered automatically. So now you can see here. So in previous case, we have triggered manually, right? So here you can see this is also deployed. So here you can see we have, I mean, this is started by the upstream project, everything, right? So it is triggering automatically. We are not running in, I mean, we are not triggering manually. Okay, so when if you want to trigger this job again, you can click on this rerun button. Okay, so I will click on this rerun button now. You can see only the sample test is started, right? So now you can see the build number will change it as a 4 here. Okay, it was in the 3 now. So after the execution, it will make it as a 4. Okay, so after this, what we'll do, it will deploy the project, right? So because this is a downstream project, right? So now you can see it is changed as a 4. Okay, now it will come here and it will make it as a 4. Okay, I will refresh the screen. Now you can see. Yeah, now you can see the sample deploy also done, right? So we are not doing manually. So simply you can create the view like this. So simply come and click on the run button. So when you click on the run, again it will start from the deploy test, sorry, build test deploy, right? So now you can see there will be one more fourth build will be generated now. I will refresh the screen again. Yeah, now you can see the 4 is done, right? So here you can see the console also. Okay, so console is loading. Yeah, it started by the admin, right? So I have started manually and it is triggering the new build of sample test, right? So that is also running now. I will refresh again. Yeah, it is automatically refreshing, right? So you can see this is done. Again, once the deploy is done, you can see again it will refresh the screen. Yeah, it is done, right? So everything is going on automatic way. So if you want to particularly, okay, I want to run only the sample test, right? So you can rerun the project. And if you want to deploy the things, then again you can go for a rerun. But when you rerun this, again everything will rerun because it is connected to the build project, right? So these are the downstream project. A test and a deploy is a downstream project, right? So they are dependent to this build. So when I trigger the build, automatically the test will execute When I trigger the test, automatically it will deploy the project. Okay, so this is how we build the upstream and downstream project in the Jenkins. Okay, so that's all about this video. Thank you guys.